got to.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Mind Viking podcast. I am your host, the man behind the mic, Eric Engberg. And in the very early genesis of this podcast, there was one guy that I knew I just had to get on the show, and I would not rest until I did. This hugely talented brother is one of the sickest DJs in the game right now. He is also one of the original founding members of the Dirty Wormz, and that's Wormz with a Z. The Dirty Wormz have earned such music industry accolades as earning the award for Austin's Best Hip Hop, and whose music has been seen on national TV shows like UPN's Top Model, which is produced by supermodel Tyra Banks, and MTV's Road Rules. The Dirty Wormz have shared the stage with such musical juggernauts as Ice Cube, Korn, Naughty by Nature, Tech Nine, just to name a few. My friend, and a man who I secretly live vicariously through, DJ Crash. What's up, brother? How you living, man?
So, man, that's a lovely intro, man. You couldn't even said it any better, man. I don't think no one has ever gave me an intro like that. That's dope.
You guys have definitely earned it, man. And this has kind of been a busy week for you with podcast. You were on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys had one going on Monday, right? Copercast.
Yeah, but Copercast, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. How did that one go, man?
Yeah, it was a wild ride as usual. You know what I mean? Of course, you know, being a dirty worm, you know, you're gonna have a wild ride with us when we all get together anyway. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
and it's all in fun. You know, shout out to Bobby Sharon.
Yep.
Copercast.
Yeah. He's got a pretty sweet setup there, man.
Oh yeah.
So I watched probably about 20-25 minutes of it.
Oh, okay.
And got to kind of learn a little bit more about Smackola, and then who's the other guy on the?
That's Swift. He's a drummer.
Yeah. So hey, man. So in preparation of this podcast, I did a little shopping. So in honor of you, your Dirty Wormz brethren, and all the Wormheads out in the ATX and beyond, I got me a little DW swag going on.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah. So this is got to be like the sickest logo around, man. I love this thing, man. This is just awesome, man. Just awesome. All right, man. So I'm going to give a little backstory of how you and I met.
All right.
So Crash and I graduated from high school in Southeast Austin, a little place called Del Valley. Go Cards.
Yep.
And, we didn't necessarily hang out together all the time, but we were cool. And we had a lot of the same friends. One in particular was this cat named Michael Woods, who I remember as being one of the most genuine, coolest dudes in school. And Michael knew how to put shit together, man. And when he found out that I was wanting to hook up my big ass house speakers and my little 69 VW Bug, well, he offered to help. So Michael came over. He brought Crash with him. And 30 minutes later, those big ass speakers were rattling the windows from my back seat. But like so often is the case, Crash and I, we lost touch after high school. But then through the magic of social media, we got reconnected again on Facebook. And that's where I saw Crash doing his thing with a band who honestly, at the time, I hadn't heard of before, the Dirty Wormz. So we then met up for drinks, several drinks, in fact. And I learned more about his involvement in this funky ass rap, rock, hip hop underground band whose music now occupies much bite space on my playlist and always will. Crash, you remember those speakers, man? You remember that?
Man,
Remember that day?
you know what? I do vaguely remember, man, going on there. I think it was Mike Jones. I seen him.
Yep.
I just seen him recently.
Yeah, man, it wasn't Michael. Did I say Michael Woods, man? Michael Jones. Michael Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck I was thinking, man. There was another guy named Michael Woods, and he actually played basketball, and we were on the same team. Michael Jones, man, brother. I'm sorry, man. Michael Jones. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll just say that. I always call him Michael Jones anyway. So.
Yeah. So hey, man, let's talk about the early years, man.
Yeah.
The early years of DJ Crash. So you are an Austin original, born and raised, for the most part, here in Austin, and similar to Smackola, DW's front man, and also one of the original founding members of the Dirty Wormz. You were a military kid, and you moved around a lot, not just here in the States, but also abroad, with twice living in England.
Yep.
So, man, tell us, man, what was it like living in England in the 1980s, man?
Oh man, it was a cool experience. Something a whole lot different from being in the United States. But what I loved about it was just different cultures, and we weren't too far from being what America was already going through. But they were already up on a lot of music and stuff like that. So it's just it's like I don't know. It was just a pretty cool environment to be around. Some of the people were pretty cool. They looked up to Americans. Plus, we were break dancers at the time, so they really loved us. So me and my little
yeah. And that's pretty cool, man. It seems to be that overseas, Americans a lot of times are kind of looked in that way, in that regard, and our music, especially can become very popular in other countries. Yeah.
Well,
so,
America always had the biggest influence on anything that goes out there. So us Americans get treated like royalty out there when we're out there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, and I think you touched on this. So as a result of your time abroad, traveling a lot, spending some time there in England, you were exposed to all kinds of different music. So not just from hip hop, but to jazz and even mainstream rock like Def Leppard and Van Halen, and even calling one of your favorite albums Van Halen's 1984, man. So what was your favorite song off that album, man?
Panama.
Yeah.
I think I start off a lot of my rock sets with Panama, so that's one.
Yeah, man. So when you're DJing, so when you're out there, so obviously, you've got your association there with the Dirty Wormz, and you're doing your thing with him there. But then I would imagine you also do some solo gigs as well, right?
Oh yeah. I do a lot of those, just as much as I do with the band. I think I do a lot of DJ gigs, just parallels, or sometimes even more. Sometimes now I'm doing a lot more DJing gigs than what we play now, because especially with the pandemic and everything,
shut down.
we didn't a lot, so what I mean. So, but I do a lot of DJ gigs, so in different genres.
Yeah. So you were saying that you actually start off a lot of your sets with Panama.
Yeah. I kind of like wake everybody up, and they be like, "Oh shit, is he really playing this?" And like, yeah, we about to do this. And
And
then
I think, go ahead, man.
once I kind of get into it, they start filling me out. I'm like, okay, all right, really
Yeah.
putting this all together really good. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
of course, I just play towards demographics. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So if looks like a rock demographic, then I'll play a lot of rock. And if there's a lot of rap demographic, I play a lot of that. If there's a lot of older, then I play. I play a little something for everybody. You know what I mean? So
Right.
once I try to fill the room and see what the majority is, that's what I play for.
Yeah. 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 And that makes a lot of sense. So you start your gig and start your set, and I would imagine you're kind of reading the room, reading the vibe, kind of saying, hey, what's gonna turn these people on. And I know you had said that some of your sets are nothing but rock and roll, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it was crazy because it'll be like 70s, 80s rock, classic rock, and you'll hear from everything from Van Halen, Def Leppard, Rush. Uh, I might even throw some Marilyn Manson in there every now and then. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah, man. Yeah.
so Sublime, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Billy Idol. You know what I mean? I just throw
Damn.
all that. Yeah.
No, man, and that's what I dig about your style. And yeah, man. And I'm sure the crowd. You read them, you feed off of them, and I'm sure they leave there very satisfied. So, hey, man, so you credit some of your other musical influences as Al Green,
Yeah.
Grover Washington, Miles Davis,
Yeah.
and Bob James.
Yeah.
And you also said that there was a point in your life, kind of like a switch was turned on, where you started to enjoy the music and not just listen to it. So, yeah, expand on that a little bit, man. What do you mean by that exactly?
Um, I guess that's kind of when I started DJing. So when I started DJing, I guess I was listening. After a while, instead of me picking up records, because when I start picking up records and just start listening to them, I started understanding the talent that went into the music. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
playing these instruments, man, is a true gifted talent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to hear what these guys are doing, and a lot of us still I don't understand, but I do believe there's a true talent to what it is. And as I grew talented in what I was doing, that made me listen for a lot of things that were just kind of interesting to my ear. You know what I mean? So
Sure. And probably
yeah,
a whole different level of respect when
yeah,
you started to kind of understand the complexity of the music that that they're playing, especially jazz, man. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
jazz, from what I understand, is not easy to play, and to
yeah,
play it,
yeah,
yeah, you got to have a deep understanding of the language of music, and then whatever instrument it is that you're playing.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially, of course, when you get into hip hop production, you start really understanding what, like, sampling some of these artists that, of course, especially in the early 80s, that's what some of our, well, put it like this, one of my first demos didn't get, didn't get, well, got turned down because it didn't have enough samples in it.
Really?
Yeah. So we had to go back in the studio and put a lot more breakbeat samples and stuff like that to make it kind of like, like what was coming out at that time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that was England. You know what I mean? So I was trying to get signed with Chrysalis Records back in those days.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far back as England?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I had uh, you know, I, there's a lot more to it as far as when I was coming up. I kind of joined the group, and that's how I got my name. Actually, this guy named Double D, he was looking for me,
Yeah.
And some kids in the high school was telling me, "Hey, man, there's a DJ that's in our high school. He's really good. And this and that. I think y'all should team up and do something." And he said, "Okay, well, I'm looking for a DJ anyway." And he said, "Yeah, that must be the guy I need." And so they kept telling me about this guy, and we kept missing each other. So he's like, "Hey, man, he was just here. You need to go catch him." He was at such and such, and I miss him, or they'll tell him the same thing. "Hey, Crash was just here, man. You got to go catch him. He just catch the shuttle bus or something." You know what I mean? So I finally just went to his barracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Knocked on his door, and he was there. And he said, "Man," he said, "you must be the DJ I'm looking for." I said, "I guess so."
Yeah.
And I had a name. I can't remember what my name was at the time. And he said, "Hey, man, I want to do this record, and I got all the lyrics written out, and I always wanted a DJ named Crash, so you're it." And I just kind of looked at him first, like, "How the hell you just gonna name me DJ Crash, man? I ain't even asked for it." And
Right.
he
Yeah.
said,
Got a
"Sorry."
name.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it was a little better than what I had anyway. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, when I went and told my friends, I say, "Man, he just changed my name to Crash," and they all kind of looked at me like, "Yo, that's it, man. That's dope. You Crash now." So it got stuck with me after that. So yeah.
Yeah, man.
So
No, I like it, man. I like it.
yeah.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
So of course I've heard of the Al Greens. I've heard of the Grover Washingtons. Obviously, I've heard of the late great Miles Davis, but I didn't really know who Bob James was. So
Oh,
I did
yeah.
some research, man.
Yeah.
So long before the digital era of music, back in the 80s and 90s, there was something called Columbia House. Do you remember that, man? It was like a mail
Yeah.
order. Yeah.
Yeah, you can order these records on the CDs or tapes or yeah.
And they, and basically their hook was, they'd sell you 6 or 12 for a penny.
Right.
That, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, but then you had to like actually subscribe to, you
Right.
had to get a membership, and then they keep sending you
Yeah.
shit, and you get a bill in the mail, and you're like, oh crap, forgot to.
Yeah. Now you gotta pay them.
So somehow, and I think it was through like Columbia House or one of those at the time, man, I ended up with a compilation cassette, and it was called, I remember it was called Easy Listening Jazz. And man, if I look hard enough, I probably still have it in some box somewhere. But on that one tape, it had Al Jarreau, it had Luther Vandross, it had George Benson's hit song "Breezing."
Yeah.
Yeah, "Breezing." Yeah.
Yeah.
Which to this day, I still love that song, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just named a few, but man, you're naming all the great people that I like. I enjoy listening to.
Yeah. But on this tape, man, on this tape, and I didn't even know it, but on this tape, it had a song called Angela. And Angela was the theme song to a once very popular show called Taxi. And that was composed by Bob James.
That's right.
Yeah, man, I saw that. I was like, all right, yeah, man, I know his music. And then also I found that according to Wikipedia, music from Bob James's first 7 albums has often been sampled and has contributed to the formation of hip hop.
Yeah.
Have you sampled his stuff before, man?
Yeah, I sampled Angela. Yeah.
No way.
Back in the day, yeah, I had a song of one of my earlier groups, and we used that sample.
It
was crazy, but yeah, I mean, just as much as James Brown or who else been sampled so many times. there's so many guys out there, man, that we ripped through all their records. But you know, the great thing about that, it created a crate digging culture. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, once we were into like trying to sample, then all the DJs were going out and digging in crates or digging into these record stores or whatever. And that's how we educated ourselves on who we were buying. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
we would read the cover, the back cover and everything, and it'll tell you who produced it and everything. And what's crazy, once you start hearing the sound, even if that artist is not on there, you can almost tell they produced it. And you can say, hey man, that sound like you know, that sound like, Willie Mitchell sound or something like that. And you would turn it over and it's like produced by, you know what I mean? You're like, oh man, that is the sound, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool how, you kind of educate yourself and relate to them. And that's what I hate about the digital world, that, it's taking a lot of the education out of it that we taught ourselves. And we would play games called Name That Tune. And some of them go as far as naming the tune. We had to name the tune and the artist. And some of them will go as far as like naming who produced it and who played the instruments in all the records.
Yeah. And
So yeah.
you guys like keep score. See who
Yeah. I mean, in the earlier hip hop, you were trying to be smart anyway. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know that, you was trying to be smart. And, they would tell the rappers to use big words and their rhymes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so it was good to know and educate everything that you were possibly getting into. Yeah. So, you look more versed in what you're doing. You know what I mean? You ain't just saying stuff. You got substance behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And actually, man, you say that, and not to get off in the weeds here, but you and I have talked about this on Netflix. There's that docuseries called Hip Hop Evolution. And one of the episodes, it is kind of focusing on the DJ. And I think it talks about this one record store. I think it was called like the Roosevelt or something. Do you remember that? It was like, but it was like where just like you're describing here, all these DJs would flock to this one record store. And man, they would just, do crate digging. Man, they're just going through these, all these different records. And I think it even talks about how they would look to see, hey, who produced it, who was actually on the album, all that kind of stuff. And they would like kind of compete with each other because you had all these great DJs in the store at the same time. Yeah. And you might be next to, some, very successful DJ or up and coming DJ, and you're kind of flipping through records and you're looking over to see what he's, what he's looking at, man, to get some ideas.
Yeah, it was top secret back in the day, man. Some people went as far as like scratching out all the information on the label. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's back in the earlier days. That's what they did, because the competition of having certain records was that was in the competition too. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't got this. You know what I mean? So I could spin this and you ain't got it. You know what I mean? I got all the hits. I got all the fly sounds or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So now it's digitized. Now you can Shazam it and like, I got you. So.
Yeah. Well, hey man, circling back to your time in England, the second time you were there, which was in your early high school years. Yeah. You were hired for your first gig as a DJ.
Yeah.
So man, tell us about the early years of DJ Crash and what that first gig looked like, man.
It's crazy, man. I used to work at the commissary, which is a grocery store. Right. And man, I would spend a lot of time there. I would go there after school. If I wasn't practicing football or anything like that, I would go there. and I would work. And I used to bag groceries for, you know, for my money, you know what I mean? And on Saturdays, I would make a ton of money, you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
know, I would make like $60 a day, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
for bag
Which is
groceries.
good. Yeah,
Yeah,
man. That's some good money, man, back then.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Especially yeah in the '80s,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I bought all my equipment, man, one turntable at a time. So bought my turntable, bought a big jam box that I can plug it up to, bought
Yeah.
my mix, then bought my other turntable,
Yep.
and you know when my dad, one of his friends came over one time,
Yep.
and
Tell us about that, man. Yeah. Tell us
yeah,
about that, man.
yeah. So you know my dad, you know he really didn't care for what I was doing. He thought I was making a bunch of noise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they were watching TV, and I think you know like a hip hop group came on or something
Now
like that. And
you were in England at this time, right?
yeah, I was in England at
Yeah.
the time.
Okay. All
And
right.
so yeah, so they're watching TV, and I think you know, I think they saw a DJ scratching or whatever, and my dad said, "Yeah, my son know how to do that scratch shit." He's like, "Yeah, he do all of that stuff too." And his friend like, "For real?" He like, "Yeah." He said, he said, "Yeah, he could show you what he do." And then he said, "Yeah, I want to see this." He said, "I want to see this." And so, you know, we went upstairs and we saw my whole setup. And I just learned this trick that, you know, that I just learned, you know, so I could go out and battle some DJs with.
Yeah.
And man, doing that. And the next thing you know, I broke out the trick and I started doing my thing with the trick, and I was scratching off fast and doing what I do, man, you know,
Right.
just practicing.
Yeah.
And don't you know that guy, man, once that guy went, the guy lost his mind right on the spot. Like, oh my God, this guy's money. You don't know what you got here? He said, this is your son. This is money, man. What the hell are you talking about? This is money, man. This is, and he kept looking like, oh man, this is money.
What was your dad doing,
Yeah,
man? What was your dad doing when he was saying that, man?
my dad was just all nonchalant,
Yeah.
you know, my dad, he really was probably cheerleading in his mind,
Yeah.
but you know, he had to be reserved so he could kind of be cool about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's what led up to what led up to him kind of to his approval, because he also came up to me like later that week or so or something like that. He said, "Say, son, I was in the music store and I was looking at one of them turntables you bought." He said, "It cost more than my rack system." And he said, "You really like doing this, huh? You pretty serious about this?" I said, "Yes, sir. I'm serious about it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I like this is what I like doing. This is a new thing, and
Yeah.
everybody's on it. You know, this is what I like doing. You know what I mean?" He said, "Okay, all right. Well, if you need anything, just let me know." I said, "Okay." And you know, I had a Kool-Aid jar full of money. You know what I mean? Because I would take all my little ones and I would pile them on in this big Kool-Aid jar. They used to be like, you know, like those lemonade
Yep.
cans, you know, the whatever, the
Yeah.
powder thing, whatever. And yeah, I had the money, you know, Kool-Aid jar full of money, man.
Now,
And every time when I would,
is this money that you have earned at the, bagging
yeah,
groceries at the
yeah,
commissary?
back groceries, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
so what kind of motivated you was, and you and I have already talked about this, but, and you had explained that, and like you said, they were your cheerleaders, your parents, but, they weren't 100% sure about, what
yeah.
you're
It was
doing,
new, you know
music
what I
and
mean?
all of
Yeah,
that. So you knew that if you were going to do it, if you were going to make it happen, then you were going to have to make it happen. You were going to have to, cause that DJing equipment, man, that is not cheap,
yeah,
So
yeah,
you had to save up all the money because you really kind of knew, hey, I can't go to mom and dad,
right, right.
and so, man, I mean, you earned the money, you saved it, you bought the equipment. Yeah, man. And then tell us about that first gig, man. Tell us about that first
Yeah,
gig.
yeah. So yeah, once I uh let's see, it was a place called the AYA. I think it's like American Youth association, whatever. But it's like that's where the kids would go. And I guess they found out I was DJing or something like that. Somewhere along, I got to connect that they were looking for a DJ for their little school thing.
Right.
So next thing you know, I said, "Hey man, I can do it." And they said, "Okay, well, we'll pay you some money if you want to come and DJ for us and this and that and third." And I said, "Okay, cool." And so the GIs that were teaching me lent me all their records. So I told my dad, I said, "Dad, I got a gig, and this is my first gig, and I need a ride to get everything to the gig, but I need to go pick up some records first." He put everything in the trunk, all my turntables and everything, put everything in the trunk.
Yeah, your dad did that.
Yeah, my dad did that, and then he took me to like 3 or 4 places, and and they were far, you know what I mean? And to be on time, I had to leave like hours early to go pick up all these records. So I picked up like 3 crates of records or whatever. And my dad helped me carry everything in, you know what I mean? I carried everything in, and I did my thing, you know what I mean? Even a couple of GIs came and watched me, you know what I mean? Because they saw the music.
Yeah.
And then walked by, and they saw of course, DJing was new, and to touch records and scratching was even newer, you know what I mean? Because that was like a forbidden law. I think that was where my parents really back in them days, they saw fingerprints,
Yeah.
you was out of there, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
saw fingerprints. They were like, you getting your ass whooped, you know what I mean? So yeah.
They probably thought with you actually scratching that you might be actually like damaging.
Yeah, damaging. Yeah, and you will. I mean, you can, and I have messed up a few records in the beginning. You know what I mean? So yeah, it can definitely damage some stuff. And but I had that's why I bought it myself. You know what I mean? So I wanted to try and damage his stuff because I was using his turntable to scratch on. He didn't know it. You know what I mean? So so yeah. So I did that, and
yeah.
But I got away with it. So
yeah. So his turntable, you were actually using that at home, or did you take that to the gig, or you had already bought it?
No. That was when I first started practicing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I started.
How much you make that night, man? That first gig.
Made that night. I think I made about $150. That was a lot of money back in those days. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that was the 80s, and
yeah, that was an 80. Damn.
Probably mid 80s, because I think you said you were like in
like
the early
late
years
80s
of high school.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be equivalent to today would be almost like 350. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
How long did you play, man? You remember?
I played probably about 2-3 hours or something like that. Yeah, I played about 2-3 hours, something like that. But once you start going, man, the time just sometimes go by so fast. You know what I mean? Because you're having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So man, your dad's friend is fussing all over you, telling your dad, who up to that point, wasn't completely sure about what you're doing, but his friend is saying, dude, this guy's legit, man. He knows what he's doing. Man, he's money. How'd that make you feel, man?
Well, I mean, it was like I needed approval from somebody, you know what I mean? Just because, that was the newest thing, in the music industry, you know what I mean? So a lot of people looking down on DJs because, touching a record like that was just like taboo, you know what I mean? It's just, it's something you just didn't do, you know what I mean? Like, man, how could you be destroying records? They're just made for playing, you know what I mean? Like, no, the sport now, you know what I mean?
And I'm good at it.
Yeah, we battle with these,
Yeah.
That's what will get your neighborhood respect, you know what I mean? So I would go to certain boroughs in England where I was at, and I would just go battle everybody. You know what I mean? And and they would tell the next guy, and they're like, "I bet you can't beat this guy." Jump on the bus and go over there.
Really, man?
Yeah, man, that's what we do, man. I mean, you know, even like when we was breakdancing, we did the same thing right before that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They would tell us we couldn't beat nobody. We'd go over there. We'll go to their borough. You know what I mean? You didn't care. We'd go to their borough, beat them in their own borough. You know what I mean? So,
Dang. Well,
but
you hear about all that stuff, going on in the States, and but so that happened over in England then too, huh? I mean, just
oh
kind of,
yeah,
same mindset.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, they were probably just a little late behind us,
Yeah.
but they were on it. You know what I mean? And once they, of course, back in the day, there wasn't no internet. So, you know what I mean? So for some of them to get certain things, it had to be like an underground VCR tape or something that float around, or people would send over, like when the American guys would send over some stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if that tape get dubbed so many times, and other, and the British people get a hold of it or whatever, even if on publications, they were always putting on anybody that came through London. They were quick to interview those guys. You know what I mean? So they was in town right away. So, but they would all, but over there they would do documentaries on things that go on in America. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Where we were just living it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, hey, man. So leading up to your eventual collaboration with Smackola, which eventually led to the formation of the Dirty Wormz.
Yeah.
You had already had some success on your own. You touched on this a little bit earlier. And when you and I talked last, you had said that, you were in Atlanta at the time and you had come close anyways to kind of securing some deals. And which I think is probably pretty common in the music industry for one reason or another. They didn't come to fruition. So, man, if I'm doing my math right, you have been a part of the music industry for, the better part of 3 decades, right?
I mean,
Yeah. So how stinking hard is it to break through, to get that big record deal, man? I mean, how tough is it?
Well, it's definitely really tough, and then especially like the times that we were going through, because the music was changing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for us to stay in our lane and do the music that we like, that's how Dirty Wormz came about. You know what I mean? Just because if you listen to what they want to call hip hop now, it just didn't fit in our.
Yeah.
It didn't fit our. It didn't fit our personalities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A battling world. You know what I mean? We just couldn't go into talking about battling, and these kids don't understand that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, taking the rock approach and having the band approach was much more exciting. And then we knew that we would get paid for it quicker too. But I mean, you had to be very different.
Yeah.
And what's crazy? I met the guy that signed Elvis. This guy was old as shit.
Really?
But this guy was old.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey man," and I guess he heard us when we came off the stage. He said, "Man," he said, "You want to know why I signed Elvis?" And I'm like, "What? You signed Elvis?" He said, "Yeah." I mean, he could be lying. I don't care. But the thing is, what he told me was key. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said, "Say, man," he said, "The reason why I signed Elvis is because of his sound." You know what I mean?
Yep.
And he said, "You guys have a sound. And the sound is such different than what different people are hearing." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once you got a sound that's cutting through, they have no choice but to pay attention. You know what I mean? And
we're gonna get to your sound, man, and the sound of DW, and we're gonna go underground here in a bit. But hey, man, for any, up and coming artist, DJ, someone who maybe is looking to kind of follow the same path, that you have, and you got any advice for any young bucks out there that are trying to make their way in the music industry, man? Maybe.
Well, I think that what's crazy, they got it 10 times easier than what we had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got Instagram, they got all these social media platforms, they got YouTube, and all it takes is a bunch of good likes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But my biggest thing is this: you must study the craft. You got to do your homework. You got to put in the work. You got to be. You just can't push no buttons. I don't really care for like people who push buttons and use a lot of technology
Yeah.
to hide behind or what they want to call it talent. You know what I mean? Because my thing is like this: what if all else fails, or what if your computer just get a drink spilled on? Then what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you want, I do keep I keep I keep some records with me at all times, just in case, my record, my computer acts up, and,
Yep.
so, cause it does happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially in the earlier days where the digitizing thing didn't always work, you know what I mean?
Right.
And especially when we were doing, band gigs, at least 90% were full vinyl. You know what I mean? I didn't use computer. You know what I mean? Just because
Yeah.
that computer failed, then hey, that's it. You know what I mean? You're out of it. So I say to any one of those guys, learn from the true basic,
Yeah.
and then use your technology later. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you will be versatile. And you won't be dead in the water with your pants down. You know what I mean? If all else fails and your technology fails. So
Right. Yeah. Hey, and that's that's a good segue into the next section here that I want to cover. So you've described the DJ as the technicians behind the rappers.
yep.
And the DJs that, the ones that, just like you said, really work on honing their craft. They take their vast knowledge of all the different musical, genres out there. And you got to have that knowledge to know then what music to sample, and you're chopping them up and you're putting beats behind them to help kind of create the tracks that, a lot of the rappers rap to. So, yeah. So kind of help elaborate on that, kind of walk us through what does that process look like for a DJ and someone of your caliber that, is, probably be described more as old school. I mean, you started when there really wasn't digital music. So
Right.
you had to go find your music, I mean, you couldn't just go, click a, click of the mouse and
Yeah,
you,
nah,
yeah,
and I mean, not to cut you off, even some of the earlier records, and not only just me, but other artists, they would have to mix it in manually. You know what I mean? So you would have to run your mix manually, and so that's where the DJ would have to run back to back, and he would have to mix on time. You know, with the drum machine or the drummer or whatever, whoever you brought in the studio to keep time. And that's how the earlier records were made. You know what I mean? But of course, you want to try out different, certain sounds, certain beats, certain everything. We had well, we still to this day. I think one of the bases of hip hop was the ultimate beats and breaks collection. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
so and that's like 25, 26 records, something like that. I know it's about almost 30 records. I got the collection, you know what I mean? But that that right there was one of the bases of the early hip hop days, where a lot of people sample all those records.
so
And
it's a group specifically of 25 record. Is that what?
Yeah. So, I'm gonna show you an example of one. I got one here.
Yeah.
Like, so this is volume. This is volume 1.
Okay.
This is volume 1. And and so in the back of it, you have Mary Mary, what I mean, Bluegrass, Amen Brother, Daisy Lady, Indiscreet, Do the Funky Penguin. Of course, Mary Mary was sampled by Run D.M.C. Daisy Lady was replayed by Grandmaster Flash. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And so with 25 of these records, that was what we were going after at that time, and we were waiting for the new, version to come out.
Yeah.
So this was in the process. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so that was kind of like the foundation of where hip hop came from. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say. So that's basically what you guys are working off of. Is 25.
Yeah. And so what the crazy part was. So once we find out who the group was that we sampled, then we go buy their albums. You know what I mean? So that's what, Bob James and stuff like that, let's see, Take Me to the Mardi Gras. That was, of course, the Peter Piper sample for Run DMC. So, and of course, there's a whole lot of other things that he had. But when I would go to the record store and I would see Bob James, I didn't care what it was. I just bought it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure I got I got a collection of his records, and I just bought them all. He had a number like
knew
one,
whatever it was going to be good, and you're gonna want to sample from him, right?
Yeah, I was gonna sample from him anyway. So, and I guarantee you, every last one of his records will sample that. His checks ought to be really fat, so he might be mad, but his mailbox should be full of money. So,
yeah. So, hey, man. So, due to the shutdown, the COVID shutdown, here in Austin, and you guys can't really get out and play. I know we're at a point right now where they're kind of slowly starting to open things up a little bit, but for the most part, things have been shut down for the better part of almost 2 months. Yeah. So because you haven't been out there to do what you do, then you've taken to Facebook Live and you've treated your fans to, man, some phenomenal impromptu sets, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, man. I've seen probably 3 of them, and man, I just whole another level of respect for you, man. After I watched those, because it was just like the light bulb went off, and I was like, man, that's what that dude does. Damn.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna play a clip here, man. It's just a short clip, right? It's about 30 seconds long, but for anybody that obviously for all your loyal fans out there, I'm sure they've probably seen this before.
Those guys who gave generously, man. I love them all.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you definitely want to give a shout out to everybody.
Yeah, there's too many to name, but man, I appreciate them for supporting my lives, man. It definitely lets me know where I'm at and where I should be. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and kind of I'm sure has helped, given that I'm sure you've probably had to cancel a lot of gigs or have had a lot of gigs canceled because of the shutdown. So I'm going to do a quick screen share here. Oh, hold on. Okay, can you see that, man?
Yeah. Wow.
Hey, man.
Wow.
Yeah, before I start here, man, who's little man over here, man?
Oh, that's Louis Armstrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I got this from, man, but this thing is so old.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether I saw where it was. Oh yeah, this was made in '72.
Whoa, dude, I was born in 71, man. Oh man, that is crazy, man. You know, when I saw that at first, man, I thought it was do you remember that movie Major League?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Joe Boo.
Joe Boo, man. I'm like, man, is that Joe Boo? I Googled it, man.
Yeah, no, it's not Joe Boo. I don't worship him or nothing like that.
Right, yeah. All right, guys. So this is about 30 seconds, but you're going to be able to see what this dude does, and all I can recommend is you buckle in because you're in for a ride. Broken, man. Woo. Man. All right. How do I get back, man? What the heck? Man. Yeah. You know, when I was, you know, kind of getting prepared for your interview here, man, I watched that whole, I downloaded it, and man, I watched the whole 1 hour, and I promise you, man, I wrote down notes, and I'm like, yeah, this is the part that I'm gonna play. And then, like, 10 minutes later, no, this is the part that I'm gonna play, man. I 6 or 7, like, times down, man. And I ultimately decided on that, man. But it's an hour of, man, you just taking us on a ride, man. And I mean, and maybe not that one specifically, but some of your others, man, heard some Steve Miller. There was one set where you started off with Rush,
Yeah.
On in there.
But you know what? I see that's just it. A lot of these stuff I'm pulling from are from this collection of breaks. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah. So you gotta understand, hip hop is the only genre that combines all the genres.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I remember you saying that. Yeah, man. Tell us about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, like saying, of course, when you take instruments from inner city kids and they don't have nothing to play, all we can do is get everything from records. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, and the beats, we don't care where it came from. We just like that it has a groove to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like Skull Snaps or anybody like that, anything that's got a funky beat and a nice beat pattern, that's what we wanted to rap on. So we didn't care where it came from. You know what I mean? And so that just like when, I guess I want to say Breakbeat Lou, I guess he's the guy that created this thing. And he would just take the parts where DJs would play, and the part where everybody liked, that's what he would put on. That's what he, I guess, concentrated on that. So some of the beats were extended, you know what I mean, than the regular record, you know what I mean. But so Rush, is one of the break beats. So
really,
yeah, it's one of the break beats, just like "Walked His Way" by
right.
Aerosmith. You know what I mean? Everybody didn't listen to the rest of the record. They just wanted to hear the first 8 bars.
Yeah.
And they would just loop that back and forth, and they would just say their rhymes over that. They wouldn't even, nobody even care to listen to the rest of the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But after a while, when you listen to your records, you start listening to the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you say that, man. You say that, and so along with probably the majority of rap fans out there, I would guess. You played a piece of music in one of your sets, and I'm listening to this and I'm going, man, where have I heard that? Man, I've heard
Yeah.
that somewhere. And I want to say, man, it is at the beginning of California Love.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dr.
Joe
Dre.
Crocker. Yeah.
Now is that a sample from an older song?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
I'm
That's
getting educated, man.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. You know, Dr. Dre can't be taking all the credit for what he do. You know what I mean? You know, shout out to him. He's one of the one of the best. I think one of the best great diggers. You know, back in the day, you know, when he was putting together his production. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He would. I mean, he had some. He had some samples, man. That when he would break them samples in, he'll have you going to look for that record, man. Like, oh my God, where that came from? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, a lot of the records that that's hip hop. You know what I mean? And that was what it is, just to take that actual song and loop it and make a song out of it. So yeah, damn, what's the name of that song? I know it's Joe Crocker's. Something about it. Oh man, I'm having a brain moment right now because I usually just rattle it off, but
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, man. I mean, and again, that was part of the light bulb going off. That light bulb moment. It was like, damn, man. So how many other rap and hip hop songs that I like where they have sampled music from other genres, other great artists, because here, man, I'm hearing it, I recognize that one from Tupac and Dr. Dre's song there, and I'm like, dang.
I guarantee you 100% of that, the set I'm playing is all music that was sampled.
Really?
100% of it. That's what I call it, a quiz mix into a lot of DJs or hip hop heads. You might see some of those guys. They might say that they might be typing in the song and who what I mean. So you got a couple of guys that are like, oh my God, that was Mountain Long Red. You know what I mean? And they'll type it in there. And they'll go through the whole mix of putting those songs up there. That's who knows them. You know what I mean?
Right.
But other than that, people that don't know, they're like, man, I heard that before. Man, that's such and such. No, this is the original.
Yeah.
No, that's not Dr. Dre. And then I think EPMD actually used that before Dr. Dre did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta, I think that speaks to your skill level, man. You've been in the game long enough. Before digital. So where you really had to go out there, find your music, and I would imagine that the sampling back then was a lot harder to do than it is now,
Yeah.
So you can hear, something, and you not only know what it, what that samples is, but the history of that sample and where it came from and who the original artist was that played it, and probably what album,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Hey, man, let's talk about some of your musical influences. Because, every great artist can point to, one or two or maybe several musical influences that have had the greatest impact on their music. And I know that you and I have talked about who your influences are, and there's several, and we're not going to get to all of them, but there's a couple that for you are probably on your Mount Rushmore, and so we're definitely going to talk about them.
Yeah.
So let me first ask you about that group out of Long Island, New York, who Yo Bum Rush the Show back in 1985, a radical hip hop group who wasn't afraid to tackle uncomfortable and sometimes controversial topics like the history of slavery and the struggles and the plights of the African American community. The group that you said in many ways saved your life, Public Enemy.
Yeah.
Talk about him,
Yeah.
brother.
I gotta give, that's what's crazy, man. That I mean, just the sound of that music woke me up. You know what I mean? That was like the illest sound I ever heard. You know, of course, Run D.M.C was my #1 group, but man, they knocked them off when I heard them guys, man.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it was just. I remember being in the barracks one day, and one of the guys that were teaching me how to DJ, he was like, "Yeah, man, these some guys from around the way. They just come out with this song here, and it was called Public Enemy #1." And man, he put that song on, and it just got this, and you know what I mean, through the whole song, man. It's sample. It's a James Brown sample called "Blow Your Head,"
Yeah.
and man, it's just that sound just put you in a trance, like, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, and it sparked some electrons in my brain, and where it made me just go psycho, man. You know what I mean? Like, just, and then, you know, when I start listening to the lyrics, you know what I mean? Because you hear the music first, and then you start listening to the lyrics, and then you start saying, wait a minute, hey, this guy's on to something here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, of course, and I was listening to reggae, and I was hanging around Rastas and West Indians too. And, you know, the way they have their influences about life, you know what I mean? And then to hear that, it is kind of like, man, I was a kind of timid guy. I was really shy. I really wasn't, you know, I wasn't really like out there like that. You know what I mean? And then that music came, man. But you know, it brought everything out of me. I started fighting back bullies and everything. You know what I mean? Just
Well, it impacted you that much, huh?
Yeah.
It wasn't just
Yeah.
musically, but and see, I've always kind of felt that about and not just rap music, but music that, you know, whatever the lyrics are, where they're speaking out against something, you know, some type of oppression or just trying to right some wrong. Man, it does something to you physically, like chemically, man. You know, it's just like yeah, it makes you more confident, stronger. So it sounds like it kind of had that impact on you, right?
Like it changed my whole life, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It brought me out of a shell, and that, you know, and just made me stand up for who I am and stand up for something that was, you know, I felt was right. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? We should all be equal. You know what I mean? And it just,
Right.
you know, of course, you know, it's sad that, you know, we don't live in an equal opportunity, even though they want to call it that, but it's still not equal. But the thing is that it to me is like a self-help, a self-love. You can, you know, once you start loving yourself first, then it helps you love others just the same. You know what I mean? You can't just go around hating yourself and then try to love somebody else. It won't work. You know what I mean? You gotta have self-love first. And so that kind of just made me gird up my own loins, and, you know, and gave me the rites of passage as a man. You know what I mean? Like, you coming out of your teenage years to a man now. You know what I mean? You got to stand up and be a man now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was that just changed everything for me. And you know what's great about those guys? I know, and I've met, you know, Chuck, and I've hung out with Flav a few times. We even had phone conversations. I never told him.
Really?
Yeah, I've hung out with the drummer, you know, in Hell's Kitchen in New York.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, those guys.
So when you met them, and Chuck D, man, Chuck D was like, man, you never heard anything like brother rapping, man. I mean, it's like they took a professor, you know, with this strong, deep voice, just right out of the classroom, because he was just lyrically skilled in his knowledge of, what was going on politically and socially. Dude, I remember, the first time that I heard Public Enemy, and and I've probably told you before, but one of my favorite movies was Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
You remember Radio Raheem? And
Yeah.
around with that big ass jam box.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing Fight the Power the whole time, man.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah, his voice sounded like God coming from, like, yo. Like
right?
if God was started rapping, that was him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. Man, that is a good way of putting it, man. That's a good description. Yeah. So yeah, man. So you got a chance to hang out with some of your musical hero, man.
Man, sometimes they say that, you should never meet your musical heroes because they'll disappoint you. I was not disappointed, man. You know what I mean? So, and like saying, and to know those guys, and to be able to interact with those guys, man, I was just in hip hop heaven that night. You know what I mean? And so even though they're going through what they're going through, we don't really speak much anymore. But you know what I mean? But hey, they still grown men that gotta live life too. You know what I mean? But I know if I ever see them again, that it's always love. You know what I mean? So,
that's awesome. So, yeah, that's awesome. Hey man, I'm gonna throw some love on them, because when I started doing some research at what all that they've achieved in their career, as a group, man, I was just blown away. So Public Enemy's first 4 albums were certified either gold or platinum. Music critic Robert Hilburn considered those albums the most acclaimed body of work ever by hip hop act. Critic Stephen Thomas Erwin called them the most influential and radical band of their time. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2013. They were honored with the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. Chuck D was ranked 12th by The Source on their top 50 hip hop lyricists of all time. And they were actually discovered by Rick Rubin back in 1985, who signed them to Def Jam Records. And
I think D.M.C was the one that found them first. Took him to Rick. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and you would know, man. So some of the other notable Def Jam artists from that same era were the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
I love the Beastie Boys, man. They had a crazy sound themselves. LL Cool J, man, I love me some LL. And then that crew out of Hollis, Queens, New York, Run D.M.C. So yeah, man. So Run was another huge one for you. Yeah. So you wanna throw some love on Run, and what impact did they have on you and your music?
Oh, Run DMC. Now they were just, of course, they were the first guys to. They kind of like, we kind of almost patterned ourselves after them guys. You know what I mean? Because it was crazy when I was living in New York. They was the first ones to be played on MTV because their music had to sound like rock. You know what I mean? And so when they came out with Rock Box, and I saw that, I was like, man, now this is my lane right there. You know what I mean? That's my lane. Rock Box came out. Oh man, that blew my mind. Like saying, you couldn't tell me anything. Run DMC was the number one group ever at that point in time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was like 84, 83, 84. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're spot on, man. Yeah, they were founded in 83. Their debut album, Run DMC, was released in 1984.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they would have come on the scene before Public Enemy. And so
Yeah.
they were, yeah. So they were your favorite. And I know you said, man, they're like a close
Yeah.
second,
Close.
man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So,
cool, man. So yeah, man. So I'm gonna throw some love on them too. Man, I remember when they came out with Run DMC hit the scene for me when they came out with Hard Times. Man, you remember that?
yeah.
And it was such a basic beat, and the rapping behind it. I'd never heard anything like that
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And man, that's back when they still sold 45s.
Oh yes, yeah.
Dude, and I got that 45, man. I came home and I played that sucker over and over and over, man. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's kind of like when Grandmaster Flash came out with the message. You know what I mean? And so, a lot of, like I said, a lot of the early rap records were just talking about how the struggles were in the streets. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of like everybody kind of patterns their song almost after another one. So it's
Right.
like, okay, you got that song. You got, what are you gonna do with it? Where's your message? And I
Yeah.
think that was one of their messages song. You know what I mean? So that was,
Yeah.
hard song. Yeah.
See, I hadn't heard the message at that time. It wasn't only until later when I'm like, dude, man, I think that was probably my first introduction into hip hop was Run DMC's Hard Times. And then of course, I started listening to, anything that I could listen to,
Yeah.
and the first time that I heard the message, dude, man, I was blown away, man. I mean, because that was raw, man. That was raw. Man, in the video, and he's sitting there, man. I mean, he's standing there in the street, and it looks like it's just been, blown up by a bomb.
Right.
That's just that was his life,
Yeah.
It's just everyday living,
Right.
So, but yeah, man. So Run DMC was named the greatest hip hop group of all time by MTV.
Yeah.
They were named the greatest hip hop artist of all time by VH1.
Yeah.
In 2009, they became the second hip hop group to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, preceded only by none other than Grandmaster Flash.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
man. In 2016, they received the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. They have been regarded as one of the most influential acts in the history of hip hop culture, along with LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, and Public Enemy. Yeah, man.
Yeah. You did your research.
Yeah, I did. I loved every second of it, man.
Yeah.
But hey, let's go underground, man. You want to go
Yeah.
underground for a few, man?
Yeah.
So, man, I've always regarded underground or indie artists as those artists who refuse to color inside the lines, the nonconformist, the anti-mainstream, and where staying true to their music and to their tribe of loyal fans is what makes them tick. It's not so much about the money or landing the big record deal as it is staying true to their art. So, man, would you say that is true of you as a DJ, and then also, also true of the Dirty Wormz?
Yeah, of course. I mean, everything down to the logo is just like, we kind of patted ourselves like Public Enemy. Thank you very much. We wanted to have the baddest logo with the name, you know what I mean? And so, and for us to be never told what to do or never told to say we stood our ground on what we do, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, it got us in trouble, and it got us from off some things that probably could have succeeded us a little bit more, but we don't care for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want to be able to speak our truth and live with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
and
cutting through.
Definitely, yeah, that's clear when you see you guys perform, listen to your music. You guys, just have a particular sound, and you guys are faithful to that sound. I mean, it is definitely something that is unique, and because there's other artists out there that mix rock into rap
Yeah.
and hip hop.
Oh yeah.
You guys, man, I don't know, man. You guys have a different sound, man, a different flair to what you guys do. So the faithful followers of the Dirty Wormz have been dubbed the Wormheadz.
That's
so
right.
You want to give a shout out to all the Wormheads out there, man?
Man, I just wanted to say thank you to all the Wormheads out there for supporting us and still supporting all these years, man. And especially the ones who got the tattoo, because I don't even have it. Yeah, man. There's at least
some out there with tattoo. Yeah,
at least over 30 people with that tattoo.
Really? Wow, man.
Yeah, with that tattoo.
Man, that's love, man.
A lot of love. Man. That's a lot of love, because that's not coming off. They rock it faithfully. You know what I mean? Like they swear them down by it. And I thank all those guys for making me feel, or making us feel like we are at the right place at the right time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to give you something that you really enjoy, that's like Public Enemy and Run D.M.C gave me. You know what I mean? So
yeah. So do you have some of the Wormheads out there, man, that you see every night? Just about every night.
Oh, when we were playing, they would be there. Yeah. They will be there, and they don't care if they hit a song 100 times, they'll still be there, man. But I think they really came for the mosh pit.
Oh damn, man! So I haven't been to a show yet, man. So I need to wear shoulder pads or something, man. But I'm going, man. I am going, man.
Yeah.
The other show that I saw was where you guys did a show just after the shutdown, and it was recorded. But there was no, there were no fans there. There wasn't an audience, man.
Yeah, no audience. We at the disclosed location, man.
Undisclosed location, man.
Yeah, we figured that we would just go ahead and just do a live, because we was already scheduled to play during South by. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we just figured that since we were already scheduled to play, we just took that day and just ran with it and just did a live. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just
man,
to get
I enjoyed that one big time, man. I mean, I had the light shows and everything, man.
Oh yeah, man. We bring the whole rig, man. We bring the whole rig.
Yeah. So I would be remiss if I didn't play just a couple of samples. Rap, rock, hip hop, badass sound that you guys are out there spinning, man. I've got my Spotify pulled up, man. And this song right here, dude. Yeah, and I'm gonna play probably about 90 seconds of two songs. And so if you got virgin ears, or you're offended by explicit language. I'm guessing, though, if you've hung with us this long, you're probably not.
Right.
You want to plug your ears, but this song right here, man. Every time I hear this song, man, I want to go to battle, man. I want to like wrestle a bear or something, man.
Yeah.
That boy right here. Mm-hmm.
to the back and all black like I'm Batman. Get buried in the sand like a motherfucking Afghan. Even the Taliban ain't ready for this rally, man. New world war order with a cat in each hand. Masking each man, ready to initiate the battle plan. Iraq to Pakistan with killing sound scan. And even in Japan, Smacky the man. And I do my own stunts like I'm Jackie Chan. What? You want the illest? Die harder than Bruce Willis? Cause we the realest, and that's why you fools feel us. The wig splitters, the real killers. We'll let us talk that shit so you can act bad with us, man.
Man, who was a genius behind that one, man?
Well, you just played the mosh pit anthem right there, man. That was the mosh pit.
Really?
Yeah. Usually in our show, man, we had to. If you want to earn a T-shirt, that's how you had to earn it, man. Yeah.
How crazy
we would
get out there, man.
We would get like 2 white T-shirts, and we say put them on to the baddest person who we think that might be in the mosh pit, and we'll make them go. We'll make them stand back to back, and put them in like bull ring style. so yeah, when we say fuck them up, that's it. Man, that shirt gets. We do it white for we make it white on purpose, because man, we just the blood stains and all the stains of they getting their ass mauled up by the mosh pit, and then they come. We sign it later after the show.
You really, man?
Yeah, man.
Oh, dude, and don't you know they treasure that, man? It's like I'm never watching this shirt ever. Yeah,
man. Let me tell you something, man. I've seen some brutal mosh pit action. One time there was this guy in a wheelchair. This dude was in a wheelchair. Yeah, man. This guy was up there in the crowd. I guess he was just moshing. The guy rolled up in a wheelchair, grabbed him, and flung the wheelchair back. Yeah, and he couldn't walk, so he tackled the guy out, and he's off his wheelchair, laying on his back, wrestling with this guy. And he took the shirt from the dude. Yeah, man. True story. I can make this shit up, man. It's great. Yeah, man. I even had kids have broken arms, and they'll come to the show. Somebody, hey, good show, man. Sign my cast. My arm got broken in a Dirty Wormz show. Man, we got so popular as far as like at our gigs that they would sit in the ambulance on standby. Yeah, at some of our gigs.
That is crazy, man. That is crazy, man. But mosh pits have been around for a while, man. Right? I mean, they, for the most part, I think are more kind of on, for the edgier music,
for the edgier music,
yeah. And fans like you said, man, they look forward.
Yeah.
Out there and beating the shit each other. Have you ever jumped out in one of those, man?
I'm not.
Oh man, me neither.
Nah, man.
I'll watch.
Yeah, I would tell some of my friends, man, and for the ones that didn't listen, I said, hey man, just stay on the outside perimeter. And man, somebody, a couple of people I know, they like, yo, they were just spectating and got their arm or their leg hurt because like one of the dudes like, oh, that's my song, and just runs right by them and run straight to the mosh pit, and they don't care who they hit along the way, man. So they're like, yeah, man, I'm not coming to none of your shows. I got hurt.
Really noted, man. I will make sure my back is plastered against the wall, man. Right, man. Hey, I want to play one more, man. One more.
Yeah. Yes.
I like this one, man.
Yeah.
Man. All right, so I'm gonna play 90 seconds of this bad boy.
I'm so insane, so I hate it when they call me crazy. I can't help it, but this is how the music made me. And all the rappers hate me, cause I'm ripping shit up. Producers be like, damn, man, I'm killing them up. so diminished, deranged, I'm unglued, unbalanced. I'm inside. They call me insane. They call me. Who they talking to?
Dude, man.
That's a great choice, man.
Yeah, man.
That's a
I
great
know
choice.
You had a pretty big part in kind of.
Yeah, that was actually one of the songs I came up with the concept.
That is sick. So,
Yeah.
so actually, it took me probably 30 times listening to that song until I realized what. Now, is that Smack, man? Is that
Yeah.
Smack? Yeah, because he kind of sounds different on that one a little
Yeah,
bit. Yeah.
that's on purpose.
Is it? Yeah.
On
Yeah.
purpose. You know, when I push him to do stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, hey man, you gonna name this Psychopathikbeataddikt? You gotta sound psycho as hell, man. Put the wig on it, man. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
man, you don't sound psychotic enough. I tell him, now, go back in the fucking booth and do that again, man. That's not psycho enough. I need to be psycho. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, the first time I heard that, I thought, man, who do they have come on as a guest? You know, to do the rapping. And
Yeah.
then I saw another video of you guys, and I can't remember the song, but you were under a bridge. And
Oh yeah, you talking about left side of the brain. Yeah.
and I heard Smack rapping on that one. I'm like, dude, that had to have been Smack, man.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of like that's the alter egos, man. He got these alter egos.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same person, but man, he got schizo personalities. You know what I mean? So that's really what it is. You know.
Well, you're the one that schooled me on the name. So the name is Psychopathikbeataddikt, right?
Yeah.
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 And so, but I couldn't figure out what he was saying right after that, right? So I'm out for a run, and it's towards the end of the run. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm kind of in my flow, right?
Yeah.
And my brain kind of, the thinking part of my brain just shuts off, and I'm just listening to the music. And that song came on, and clear as friggin' day. Tell me if I got it wrong, but it says psychopathic beat addict fanatic with some new school.
Loose screws.
Oh no, man! Damn, man.
He was almost dead.
With some loose screws. All right, man.
Yeah. It's like, you have loose screws in your brain. Yeah.
Okay. Psychopathic beat addict fanatic with some loose screws.
Yeah.
Dude, man, I mean, but that's just man, that's just beautiful, man. I don't know how else to. I mean,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
I from the second that I found out you were with the group, and I jumped on, I think, iTunes at the time. First song that I heard, I think, was probably what was it? The Fire. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, man.
Another mosh pit banger.
Yeah. And I think I was looking at maybe it was the Parasite album. Dude, I'm just going through each song, man, going, damn, man. Crap.
Yeah, the Fire was on Infection.
Okay, Infection, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, Crash is a part of this?
What? Yeah, man. We had a lot of crazy nights coming up with these concepts and stuff like that, man. So
Yeah. So, brother, we've been going at it for a while, man. I know you've had a long day, but hey, man, I'm gonna finish up here with serving you up a challenge. All right.
All right.
So I'm gonna give you the name of 4 songs, man. All right, 4 songs.
All right.
And I want you to add one of them, or maybe all 4, to one of your upcoming Facebook Live sets.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, just
all right.
somewhere, man. And again, man, you know, one or all four, man. I mean, you're gonna keep doing those live sets, right?
Yeah. I was gonna do one yesterday, but you know, due to my working, so you know what I mean. And then what I really want to do is you know, I want to take everybody on a journey before I start getting all the way to the new music. And so I'm just kind of giving y'all a reflection of how hip hop songs are made. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, just you know, there's a lot of people out there that's been doing it, but you know what I mean. So I want to just kind of take myself out of the '70s, '80s, and then roll up through the '90s, all to 2000s. But you know, I still throw some of our stuff in there if I get a chance. So
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, man. So you ready?
Yep.
4 songs. All right.
4 songs.
Song,
All right.
Song number 1. Metallica's "Am I Evil"? You familiar with that one? I'll send them to you, man. So you don't got to write them down. But
no, my brain.
Yeah, "Am I Evil"?
Uh-huh.
Check out the sick guitar riff at about the 130 mark, man. And I'm telling you, you listen to that and you're like, Engberg, yeah.
No, I think I know what you're talking about already. So it's only songs I've already heard. I love Sad But True. I throw that in my set all the time. So you know, that's usually right around right after Rush. So it's right around that area.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right. Song number 2. And I'm going to go old school on you. Well, not really old school for us. It's old school for all those young bucks out there.
Yeah.
MC Shy D's "Gotta Be Tough."
Gotta Be Tough. When you said that, I said, man, it must be Gotta Be Tough.
I love that jam, man. I love that jam.
Yeah.
All right. Song number 3. Easy, you know, like Easy Like Sunday Morning, which has to be probably one of the greatest songs of all time, man.
Yeah.
But not the original version, all right? I want you to do the remake by Roger and Zapp. Easy. Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. About the 4-minute mark, man, it gets funky, man. It gets funky. Yeah. All right. Last one, number 4.
Okay.
And I'm gonna throw you for a curveball here, man. You're probably what, man? He's lost his friggin' mind.
We love music, so you gotta.
Number 4. I'm almost embarrassed to say this, man. Number 4, Taylor Swift's Only the Young, man. You got to trust me, man. Check out that song, Only the Young, which was featured in her docuseries or documentary Americana on Netflix.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, brother, you know, I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but whole nother level of respect for her as an artist after I watched that. Yeah, man, but that song right there, the bass, the drum, dude, yeah, you'll be able to use it, man.
Okay.
Hey, man, tell all your fans out there, man, where can they find you at, man? Where you at on social media? All that stuff, man.
You can find me on Instagram as DJ Crash the Scratcher. You can find me on Facebook, DJ Crash. They made me put up a real name or whatever, Dor Muhammad.
All right.
You can find me on Twitter, DJ Crash. I don't use my Twitter much, but yeah, you can find me on all 3 of those.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And then anybody watching, you know, understands the tough times all you musicians are going through out there, you know, during the shutdown.
You know, shout out to all the people who went live, man. You know, that's too many to name and stuff like that. But I definitely want to give a shout out to my dad, my parents. You know what I mean? My mom, my dad, my uncle Wolford Lee. You know what I'm saying? He was like the DJ that, like, when you have park jams, he was street jams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On our street, he would play all the records. You know, and my aunts and my mom would all get out there and they would dance in the yard and stuff like that. And then not only that, you know, the neighborhood would just wake up, people washing cars. And, you know, doing what they doing, enjoying the music, you know what I mean? So shout out to them. you know, Hogan Nav, I'm topless, you know, it's be going down over there. So yeah, shout out to them, you know what I mean? So, you know, like I said, all those people who they were influence on me is coming up,
Yeah.
you know, musically, you know, as well. So, you know what I mean? So shout out to them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And, you know, open invitation, you know, somewhere down the road, I'm going to hit you up again. And
Yeah. We didn't, there's a whole lot more that we haven't covered, but man, we can do part 2, maybe part 3, you know what I mean?
Hey,
so
man, I'm down for it. I'm down
Yeah.
for it. Hey, man, if somebody wants to show you some love via Venmo, what's your Venmo, man?
Venmo and DJ Crash. Hopefully I'm probably the only one on there, but yeah, man, for the ones who did, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I would definitely take your investment and use it as an investment to better my live shows. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Hey, man, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your music.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for keeping it real, and I want to thank you for staying true to who you are and to your art. Keep being funky out there, man. I'm going to make it to a show here before too long, man. All right, brother.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right.
Thank you very much for this, man. It's definitely an honor.
We got to We got to We got to